InShalla and Ashe. Blessings to you, as always, my energetic beings. Ready for a mystical magic Monday? A day where our spiritual acumen, our spiritual connection, or our spiritual self and our physical self take the stage at the same time, ultimately creating the optimistic venue, the threads that we create for the entire 2022 cycle. Uh, Feeling like we're kind of oscillating between the two. One of the things I do regularly or quite often when this type of feeling is surfacing is to take a pause and take a breath, or take a breath and then take a pause. Inhale for a count of 3, hold and release. Ultimately, raising our vibrations, the path we take and the choices that we make is going to add the otherworldly value to the frequency that we're kind of elevating to. Really an optimistic venue. So it's not that we don't see or aren't aware of the pessimistic negativity out in those threads. It's that we're choosing to be a higher frequency, a vibration, and knowing that we're supported by these otherworldly assets that are actually assisting us. So with that, welcome to today's Daily Snippet. I am your host, a practicing holistic Sha'medium and subtle energetic surgeon, merging the indigenous technologies, the spirit of the Dagara tribe in Burkina Faso, with the subtle energies, elements, elemental beings, basically the elemental realm into the imaginal realm, offerings, rituals, and prescriptions to add to your own personal juice in your container. My intention really is to merge these indigenous technologies with the subtle realms, the etheric highway, to assist you into navigating what I call your prime directive, your inner genius, just reintroducing you to and through the magical being that literally resides within you. My name is Tonya D, and welcome to my virtual medicine room. And if you haven't already, please be kind and do subscribe to my YouTube channel. And for those that you have had, thank you. Tonya D, hit the bell button so you're notified. And also, if you don't mind, like my videos so the YouTube algorithm echoes that out to suggest me to other like-minded users in the galactic universe. But we have the tonality of literally coming to our highest frequency, holding the stage, taking the notes, and really it's a galactic day to hold the force, to be the Jedi Knight, becoming otherworldly, and just grasping the memo from the insights, the spirit body, the great spirit, the ancestor thread, etc. So let's take a quick peek at the messages from spirit. I'm actually utilizing the spiritual essence, the etheric of the Celtic myths and legends and fairy tales. And each of these cards literally tells a story. That's actually why I like them. But the first story that's up for today's Muse Daily Snippet, we have in the message, this is the 7 of Swords. I don't know if you can see that he's hiding his face behind a mask, kind of shrouding his true authentic nature. He's kind of smirking in a rather kind of satisfying way. And he's managed to kind of steal one of the swords that the swan guardian above there is overseeing. And he thinks that the guardian is oblivious to what he's doing. But she is watching him with one eye over her shoulders. So she knows, and she's recognizing this nature, his nature. And the blackbirds are kind of descending upon him. They sneak in close. And they're like, what have you got there? A shiny bauble, a shiny bright little tool. So they're kind of being drawn to this gleaming energy of the blade that he has taken. So he's turning his back to them as well, for he is the cleverest blackbird to have been able to draw his sword from the stones. He's masked. So the 7 of Swords represents an attempt to escape responsibility. It's the thief who's trying to make away with what is not his. So he's just really honorably, he's trying to keep everything to himself. He's kind of two-faced to those who kind of attempt to approach him. And the result of such this outlook is the world is uncertainty. So it's untrustworthy. So it's like, why risk having faith, right? And others as well. So deception really breeds distrust and pessimistic viewpoint. So it's great to see that as a message, Uno, number 1, just rising above the pessimism. We know it's there, however, we have zero need to really participate in it, right? Being optimistic, it's totally a venue. Then, following the Seven of Swords, we actually have the Five of Cups. And I'm not sure that you can see that she's kind of trekking across sand dunes. Her feet are sinking in with each step in the sand, and her legs are getting achy by the time she reaches the water's edge. And she's walking, and she's kind of at the end in between the sand and the sea, if you will. And she's got a hold of her bowl. She's clasping onto this bowl tightly. Whether it's half full or half empty, we don't know. But she's afraid it's going to slip from her fingers that are numb and shatter into that rocky shoreline. So water, it's icy at her feet, it's cold, and the surf is really lapping over her toes, just bringing in the chill that's like eating into her bones. So it makes her body feel literally brittle. It's shivering, and she thinks it's the wind brushing her shoulders. However, she doesn't notice that it's the little sprites that are brushing her back and gently collapsing and fingering and whispering comfort into her ears, but she's hardly noticing that. So she's so intent upon her own sorrows and her woes and her discrepancies that she's literally sent her hopes and her wishes out into the sea. They're literally setting sail out into a white ship, the foam, right? The icy foam. And she's wondering if those hopes and wishes are going to return. So she's filling this bowl again with her tears, grief, taking in almost this sensual delight and the tears dropping down her cheeks. And she's imagining the fish swimming through those tears in that magic bowl. I don't know if you can see the swirl there, but it's super juicy. Just swimming through the air of this empty bowl, if you will, not being bound by liquid or air. And she's setting the salt water offering next to the others on the ground. So the Five of Cups is kind of the energy of wallowing in our regret and our loss and the rejection of pleasure, feeling sorrow, and wishing for what might have been. So literally those first two, they're falling on the floor today when I was shuffling the deck. So I picked them up and took that as a message that they were card one and card two. So pretty interesting, actually. And last up, we have the World. So this is actually a super beautiful card if you can't see it very well. But she is feeling all of that when we release the World. And we end up with the World. Really, this is a super juicy card to end up with. So the Pulse, we have a comment that won't come through. I'm telling you, it's a thing. However, we're doing great. That's just my thing. We're doing great. But this card is super juicy. So we got the pulse of the world rippling in our affirmations and all of life, all the galactic goodness of life, all that life holds, and all that death that passes. So it's like every leaf and tree, every creature, from the smallest insect to the greatest singing of wells, the waters, the patterns that are kind of weaving as they're born and dying and cycling onward. They all kind of tremble. They're in unison. They're in unison with a single heartbeat. And they're literally brought together by a mighty conductor, if you will. So it's this wonderfully discordant, in harmony, the essence of balance, unity of these disparate parts. She's setting the crown of insight lightly on her brow, and she's wearing this ground girdle of truth. And she reaches within, feels the lifeline that she is connected to as well, the threading. So she's touching it. So it's like a tangible presence in her heart. It's delicious, but it's also strong. And the shining web of connection is stretching from her heart out into the etheric. And then she's reaching out with her mind above so galactic high. The light is on, and she's feeling at one with the soaring birds, and she knows the stretch and the strain of the wing muscles flexing and balancing on the wind. And she also knows the kiss of sunlight on her hand, outstretched leaves in her branches. So she's feeling the slow erosion of water on the stone over the millennia. So there's no past or present or later, for this really is the heartbeat that's pulsed from the first spark of the galactic universe. So it's going to beat until the end of time. It's this everlasting moment of the now. So it's the shimmering web of connection, the world. And it's drumming gloriously hot in her veins, blood, right? So With a sudden clarity, she knows literally in an instant that she is blessed. So there's this satisfaction and peace of mind. There's a successful conclusion. The end is literally in sight. So the message is kind of like we're achieving balance and we're melding and we're blending to bring all this together in unison, the multiple songs of life. It reminds me of the singers in the fairy deck, the singers of the other world, the oneness, the world, it's a card of our life goals and our prosperity. It's a state of completion, though it's not without a share of being involvement and all the crazy hard work and the problems and the challenges, etc., etc. But literally, when our goals have been reached, there is a space. There's a quiet breath of the moment in time when this feeling of ultimate fulfillment spills through the consciousness, the thread. So it's this moment that's just otherworldly. It's wonderful. It's precious. It's like a gem. So it has the culmination of all the hard work to see our dreams literally come true and to know that whatever is elusive and mythical in the treasures they're promised in those fairy tales, which ultimately is what our heart desires. So the message definitely is the stage of the day. However, I actually grabbed one more card for the likes. However, moving on to sharing is really carrying an aspect. So this is for you, Stephanie Butler, if you are tuning in or not. It's the collective as well, so it's kind of a bonus card for our day. So I'm super excited for this one as well. Hang on, I gotta scroll down. There we go. It's the Queen of Wands. And I'm not sure you can see that there's a harp. There's a web of strings that she is playing. Super juicy. So these really are ethereal, otherworldly for me. But she's got this fire brindle of fur of foxes just darting around her in the shadows. They're surrounding her. And they're watching her among the other denizens of the forest who are drawn out by the singing of the harp on which this queen is playing. So she glows in the midday light, and her presence is like this white hot flame that's radiating with the warmth of her spirit, her essence. And her fingers, the Queen of Wands, her fingers are dancing across those strings that I don't know if you can see. But she's embracing the tree that is at once her audience of these little dryads. So her instrument and her living wand, right? So the Queen of Wands is really dedicated. She's engaging. She's attractive. But she's also cheerful and she is upbeat. And she knows the role of a queen. She plays it with this perfect, calm assurance. So she's used to being the center of attention. She knows that it's her due. It's due time, right? And her presence is really just exuding confidence, the knowledge that she can handle anything and also anyone. And it's really not arrogance, but a simple understanding, a truthful assessment of her skills and her abilities. So it's easy for her charms to be turned towards darker purposes of deceit or manipulation, but she guards against that temptation, the shadows. She knows they're there. But being mesmerized by this, the world hushes at her entrance to hear her, to see her, and really to bathe in her frequency, her radiance. Her exuberance in life is singing out as her hands are dancing across the trills and running and continuously sliding between the notes, the ups and the downs upon that living harp. This is truly awesome. I mean, I wish you could see the card at its fullness, but it's at a high octave to take it a note or two higher kind of a day. The keeper of the village, the keepers of the wild, the beings that really come to the bell, the Candomblé village. Dreams were intense for me, or otherworldly last night, at least. But the elemental highway, actually, which is super exciting as well. Of course, everything's exciting for me. I always like to stay optimistic. The elemental highway, we have a Yin Metal Rabbit of a day, a Xin Mao, if you will. So we almost have a nature or a wood direction. So at the hour of the dragon, or if there are any dragons out there, your innate nature is online. It's the east. It's in full force. And being that we are yin metal being born in a tiger month, which represents, again, the beginning of spring, when the wood element is literally getting stronger. So it's a force to be reckoned with. Wood is strong while fire is rising during a tiger month. So therefore, the yin metal energy is actually very weak. And the elements needed are a wet yin earth, that would actually be the best solution to strengthen our yin metal energy, actually, and reduce the domination of the wood and also the fire. So yang water polishes the yin metal, the yang water on the month and the year, the stems, to make it shine. But this could work only really if the yin metal is strong. Otherwise, it's going to diminish from the polishing and maybe become rusty. So additionally, to add to that flavor, the yin metal and the yang metal is really welcomed in the energy of today to provide that support and roots. So if water is excessive, it's going to make this yin metal energy kind of leak and be weaky, if that makes sense. So wood would become too strong while earth will become contaminated. So it's all about the balance, right? When that happens, it makes metal dirty and literally unable to shine. So yin metal cannot handle extreme fire. It's not strong as a yang metal. So yang metal can really be used to take off the heat. However, all this additional wood, it really isn't needed. So fire really is the most needed element of the day, and dry earth. And then the wet earth, we could also bring in more metal if calling in. No water or no wood or nature. So with that, the Bach flower essences, if you've ever used them for the energy of the rabbit, the power animal, they're going to work on the emotional and the spiritual conditions of different people. They are natural healing modalities. Essential oils are great as well, but working with the emotions of the energetic pathways along with the power animals, if you will. So each essence really has a specific emotional healing effect according to the flower essences and Dr. Bach himself. Because these flowers are distilled, they're in a concentration. So we only need a drop or two. You can place them under your tongue or at different intervals to really create a shift on the emotional plane. So these remedies can be used undiluted, or you can do 1 drop at a time or in an emergency, or 2 to 3 drops can actually be put into a dropper, a distilled dropper bottle. If it's cleaned with distilled water, you can add a drop of vodka or brandy as a preservative. Actually, the spirits, right? The spirits of alcohol. The spirit of the spirit, I guess. But each power animal within every elemental realm has at least 1 Bach flower essence that can kind of aid in transforming the negative energies or frequencies. There are different animals and also a primary animal totem, if you will, that can be more appropriate at different times with whatever is kind of going on in our life. So in relation to our emotions that we might be experiencing. And again, do your homework. I'm just musing along, sharing insight and, questioning and staying curious. But the rabbit, the essence of crabapple, is a great one to cleanse the mind and also the body. So it really is for those that can have a sense of uncleanliness or who are having problems literally loving themselves. Loving ourselves is literally the key to the galactic door, at least in my opinion. Besides boundaries, right? That's a whole nother story. But pine is great for those who feel guilty and deal with like your self-reproach or self-sacrificing. That kind of resides here as well. So it's perfect for the rabbit energy or somebody who has rabbit issues who needs to know how special they truly are. Vervain is also recommended for people who have tension or hyperactivity or those who are high strung. So wood energy is it's energy vitality. It is energy circulation in the body. So really ground into elemental metal, earth, or fire today. Peace and kindness are really overflowing. Spirit, contemplation, and nurturing while refining those decisions. So we're kind of in this chamber of channeling otherworldly insights. So symptoms could be things where we are feeling like the urgency of something unseen, possibly defensive, kind of a warrior type energy. I kind of see Archangel Michael as I said that out loud, but it's best to really get our move on and exercise, start a new habit, upcycle from an old one, right? So when we climb into our skin, we really start to create an outlet, if you will, that's more optimistic, more productive, more solution orientated, more of our prime directive, our inner genius. So the rest of our energy really is following or flowing through that threading. So we're kind of in the threads of an overly otherworldly makeover. Like we kind of need to really make ourselves over, literally. And, I kind of am reminiscing about makeovers. Usually it was all about hair, makeup, a new image, a new look. Hey, and I know I'm looking great with my little hair thing, but I'm having my own little makeover, I guess. But the venue is open to upcycling. It's higher elevation, a perspective that is not really of this world. So really open the door to the other world. It does seem a little bit awkward or sometimes scary, I think, to go into these realms where the ultimate juice of love and light actually exists. It's the absolute, it's the supraluminal, if you will. So when we as a tribe all raise our frequencies, our vibrations to the otherworldlies, this is like the highest of the highest of the highs. It's a note, a signature sound, right? It's our codex. It's not even induced by anything but the pure essence of who we ultimately are to become. So if you made a heartfelt commitment to yourself to frequent a new frequency, that's literally like pulling the weeds in our own sacred garden, our soul's harmonic. And really today is the day when the door is really open to upcycle all these lower frequencies to a day-to-day energy vibration full of our own unique essence to our core. Literally felt down into the bones of our soul. So love really is the key, the ultimate key to open the doors to this dimension. So whatever you do, the rivers that stream forward, the ending of a frequency is just as important as the beginning of a new one. So for example, if you're releasing cords, always put a stream of love first before you release that cord. You really don't want anything else to sneak a peek in before you have a new stream added. So love stream in before you release. Take a breath into your heart center, and what does your heart say? I dreamt about my bleeding heart. I truly miss my friend, my elder Melodoma. And I was musing about the heart, a bleeding heart, creating a river of blood, if you will, a bleeding heart stream, right? So that's different than a broken heart. So filling in the streams, creating a wishing well into those heartstrings. That's the juice. And just knowing that we can add, and often I do, have that otherworldly conversation. It's just in a different form. The gateway is open. So with that, whatever you do decide to do today and releasing what no longer is vibrating for you, you just know you might even be in a course, a relationship, a job, whatever that is, and you come up to this realization that it's really not sinking anymore. So the joy in your heart is kind of fizzled out. But whatever you do, just be kind, be gentle, be authentic, a genuine in your solution to ending something, to bring the new in, the upcycled vibration. It really is time to put these threadings into motion and taking the necessary path forward to really take our beliefs, our heartfelt beliefs and desires into the motion, into action, putting things forward in the urgency of our heart space. And what do we believe in our heart space authentically? So it kind of is this otherworldly day to put things into an action plan, possibly starting a new career, a new healthy habit, a new class, etc. It really is a day where we are creating a higher frequency to an altered plane, manifesting into this world. It really is the energy body coming into the physical body. It's the merge of spirit to the physical essence of who we are. So if you're committed to learning something metaphysical or your soul's harmonic, today really is the day where you can take that action. Find the book, open the corridor, check out the offerings that I have or not, doesn't really matter. But the metaphysical, it's the shamanic portal openings. And my immersion isn't quite halfway through, my immersion into Voices of the Other World, but you for sure, absolutely 100% timeline can catch up. It's also a magical day to begin a regime into the realm of rituals, being in a higher elevated state of awareness, even beginning like a prayer circle, if you will, creating sacred space with community or with yourself. The light of the Great Spirit is really shining upon us. So with our Crown Center online, our communication center, that higher octave spirit space, it's been this high octave season to really add to the juice. And Uriel, the Archangel of Aquarius, really allow him to be the light that guides us. Our spiritual intuition being online, the connection to the divine, the grid, the otherworldly, and ancestor. We can channel that in and bring it down to our root to manifest into the physical. So again, it's like energy to matter and matter to energy. So all the things in the in-between. So with the root, reds are always great. Brown reds, orange reds, really any shade of red that's calling out your name. I generally use pinks because I have this ginger colored hair, but I would love a great red shade too as well. But the moon being in the season of Taurus, we might be a little bit emotional about what it is that we truly want to manifest in the earth plane. Is it worthy? Where's our self-esteem? So it's kind of like the day to have that inquiry, have that question. Most people manifest or want to manifest money. That's kind of a symbol energetically, right? Or the symbology of money. Money comes when our heart is lit up about something, when we're in the flow of our inner genius, our worthiness, cowrie shell divination, candomblé voice, or even the jinns, the genies. Those are great ways to give insight into the blockages that are really keeping us from living our high vibration life. We usually are our own energetic hiccup. So it's like cleansing the garden, the negative Nellies, and people that are hindering our growth, holding us back from shining our light. So we're always in this curating. We're always in this continuum. So really be heart-centric today. Feel into your heart space and really ask yourself, what does your heart want to manifest? What does it feel that it wants to manifest? So it's like loving ourselves inside and outside to attract really what it is that our heart truly desires. It's elevating our self-worth, our self-esteem. And when we feel the worth, we become the worth. So be feeling the worth, your value inside of you. It doesn't take money to feel valued, right? So I would literally affirm that I am loving myself to the worth of my soul's authenticity, bringing spirit to matter to the soul, and just be grateful for the journey. Shift all the thoughts that are lower vibration, the lower feelings as well, and just recalibrating them to an optimistic solution, adding the stream of love into the removal area first, then to the pulling or the weeding or the releasing to make that manifest. And, as always, I will see you on the other side, InShalla and Ashe, always, and just create into the frequency of that high vibration. And as always, I'll see you on the other side, InShalla and Ashe.